Okay, hi, happy Tuesday. So I took a little break from videos for a while and a short break from social media just to take care of myself for a bit, and I've had a common thread of questions that's been coming through from people that I've been working with recently, one-on-one in person, and so I thought I'd hop on here and share some perspective because it's obviously there's a common thread at the moment. So the topic has to do with relationships and addiction or addictive behavior. One of the things that's just on the forefront of my mind, the easiest way to explain this is for a person to consider what the initial bond is. So how we bond as humans is very important, right? Our initial bond is the day we are born. That primary bond with our mom, and obviously with our dad as well, but primarily with our mom, is very important. And there is an impact from that, how we bond with people as we move forward in life. So when it comes to relationships that have involved addiction, what is very common, generally speaking, with addiction within men usually has to do with substance usage and obviously alcohol, right? And nowadays pornography. So sex, alcohol, and drugs generally go together when it concerns men. As far as women are concerned, it's usually food related, so things like bulimia and anorexia, and shopping. So the shopping one is the one that often goes totally unrecognized, and it's a constant buying of things to kind of feel better in the short term, right? So you go shopping and you buy something and develop this mask where everything looks perfect on the outside. So in many instances, for a woman like this, the woman comes across as being particularly confident. She's very sure of herself. She appears to be very sure of herself in many instances, but it is very much a facade and very much a mask. So the question that came up today from a woman has to do with the difference from an Asian philosophy or an Asian perspective versus a Western perspective. So from a Western perspective, the basic, the most dominant belief system from a Western perspective is a Christian one. And so from the Christian one, it's very often seen that Jesus died for our sins, and so he sacrificed himself. He was the martyr, and so we are supposed to give of ourselves. We are supposed to go out and save, rescue, and fix people. Pretty much like, very much the missionary type behavior. It's our responsibility as Christians to rescue people. But the other side of that story that is very often forgotten is that Jesus taught people how to fish. He didn't hop in the ocean, collect the fish, take it home, cook it, put it on the dinner table, and feed the person that he was trying to help. He taught them how to take care of themselves. So there's always two sides to the story, right, that people often tend to forget. And so when I was speaking to a woman today, I clearly said to her, we know what the end result of Jesus' story was. So if you want to martyr yourself, if you want to kind of hang yourself out there and martyr yourself because you give so much that you end up making yourself sick, then that's exactly what's going to happen. So the bigger part of the story is learning from the story and then very much deciding whether or not that's how you want your life to actually play out. So we can help people. Part of yoga, and so that's from the Asian perspective, part of yoga is helping people, but it's more about initially knowing how to put on your own oxygen mask first. So the Asian kind of world is dominantly Hindu, Buddhist, Taoist, and Confucianist. So the Confucianists were the academics, and the Buddhists and the Hindus are very much academics. Those faiths are rooted in science, right? So from those traditions, self-awareness, self-regulation, taking care of yourself primarily, and helping people that want to be helped is the foundation of those philosophies. It does not require, so you never see Buddhist, Hindu, Taoist, or Confucianist missionaries. These people don't go out into the world to try and find those who need to be helped. Those who want to be helped go to the monastery and work with the people that are offering the services. they go to the intellectuals, right? So monks are very much intellectuals. They're very well-read people. They understand bodies and they understand the psyche probably better than, I believe, better than the Western world does. So from an Asian perspective, you don't go out and try to save or rescue, fix people, mostly because in many cases the people that you're trying to reach out and rescue, save and fix, they don't want to be helped in the first place, right? If they haven't gone into an establishment to ask for help, chances are they aren't aware that they need help or they don't want to be helped. So investing your own life energy or investing your own time and life source into people that don't want to be helped is misplaced compassion. It's not a matter of, being cold or refusing help. It's a matter of being aware of where you need to reallocate your resources. So things like burnout, that is not dominant in Asia. We don't see healthcare workers and teachers and people within social services getting sick and burning out in Asia as much as you do in the West, because they have very clear boundaries and they are taught from birth. Like everyone, part of those traditions are taught from birth how to take responsibility for themselves. And they learn primarily how to bond to themselves first. So obviously the initial bond with the mom is there, but they learn very quickly how to bond to themselves moving forward. So that is a huge difference between the West and Asia. And then in terms of helping people, the Asian understanding is that we have karma, right? So karma is action. For every action, there is an equal but opposite reaction. And energy cannot be created or destroyed. So basic Newton's laws of physics. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can merely be transformed. So if you, their belief system is going out and trying to save, rescue, or fix or find people results in you taking on their karma. And so that is the reason why those traditions don't, they're very clear on their boundaries and they're very clear on what is their responsibility as healthcare practitioners or as yoga practitioners, as meditators, as Buddhists, as Confucianists. They're very clear on what their responsibility is and what their responsibility simply is not. So when it comes to things like addiction and relationships, kind of, looping back to what I initially said, when that initial bond with people has been formed, where the one thing that they have in common is addictive behavior, there can be an underlying traumatic experience that has happened in the past. The reason why the addiction has occurred is not necessarily always important. What's more important is the physiological responses of the body, so how the body is actually processing and why the body is processing in that way. Once we have that understanding, the Asian perspective is that we work backwards. So we don't try to work directly with the mind and try to speak to the person. You work backwards. You work with the body, and by working with the body and helping the body to detox, the behavior and the condition of the mind will change. Whereas from a Western perspective, we work with medication, so it's a top-down process. But in terms of relationships with this behavior is that if two people get together and both of them are showing signs of addiction from the very beginning, whether it's food or shopping with a woman or substances or alcohol with a man, if one person grows and develops and makes an effort to take care of themselves and remedy that, but the other person isn't necessarily aware of their own behavior and they don't grow or they don't develop, they don't take a look at their own position, in most instances that relationship dissolves. So what I'm seeing now is that obviously people are getting married later and later in life at this stage, so relationships are perhaps, thankfully, relationships in terms of these types of relationships are dissolving earlier prior to marriage. But in many instances, for people that got married when they were very young, there is an increase in divorce rates for people that are post-50s at the moment, when they realize they've simply outgrown one another. one person has made a lot of progress and the other person is simply in that is still in that place, it results in disharmony and the relationships are dissolving, unfortunately. Fortunately or unfortunately, sometimes the dissolution of a relationship is the best thing for two people when one person has grown and wants to continue growing and the other person has made no effort. The other thing that I was discussing with this woman is that in terms of the rescuer role, this person very often comes across on the surface as being, like I said, very confident, but the masks are very well defined. On the inside, people often describe kind of like having a void, having an emptiness, or feeling like they need to shop, they need to buy things, they need to, maybe eat, binge and purge in order to feel better, but it's fleeting. So the confidence that is portrayed is not an indication necessarily of actual self-worth. So there's a difference between self-confidence and self-worth, right? And there's also, it is related to self-esteem, but once you know your self-worth, this behavior of going from, working with support groups, for example, for free, so offering services consistently for free, working for free consistently, is an indication that the person doesn't actually value their own time and is not comfortable enough to accept payment for the services that they're providing. So there's very much an inner insecurity, very much like an unsure, or I shouldn't be receiving, I'm not worth receiving payment for the work that I do. So it is possible, it is absolutely possible to work through all of these things. And so, I do work with people along these lines. I don't necessarily work with people that are still within the phase of using hard drugs, because the detox process is simply too much. So I am very clear on that in terms of the trauma sensitive yoga teacher training. I can't work with people that are still at that phase of actively using drugs, or within that phase of not being aware that it is a challenge. But once there has been progress, and once the person finally gets to the point where they realize, I simply can't do this anymore, and more importantly, when they get to the point where they realize they are worth, like you are worth investing in, and you are worth doing the work for yourself, then it's a perfect time to reach out. So I just wanted to share that. Have a lovely day. Bye.